Here I am. Welcome. Welcome to JW Night Talk. And do we ever have an exciting show coming up for you guys tonight? So I gotta work on a new intro. So if you guys have any ideas on an intro, let me know. Put it in the comments, and maybe we'll work on it. So, anyways, I'm gonna put on my screen behind me and just show you what's happening here tonight. Tonight we will be looking at the BeFree2023 site. And they did a lot of work on this site. There's a lot of new stuff on this site, so we're going to take a look at this site. The next thing we're going to look at is some protests, some Jehovah's Witness protests, different protests that are going on. We're going to talk about protests and what's happening with protests in Vancouver. Here's protests here in central Israel. Now this is an interesting one. Let me see if I can get rid of this paywall. Maybe I can't. I'm going to have to maybe try to reread it. But this protest in Israel, it turned violent. That was an interesting one. Now, here's another one. Americans can take a knee during the national anthem thanks to Jehovah's Witnesses. We'll look at that. Now, for a lot of you, you might be wondering, well, what do Jehovah's Witnesses think about protesting? Well, we're going to go to JW.org and we're going to take a look at that. And surprisingly enough, they kind of go both ways. They kind of, if the teeter-totter slants this way and it's good for them, the protests are okay. But if it's not good for them, they're not okay. We're going to show you how they handle this. And we're going to look at a couple of their short articles here. And we're going to take a look at some earlier videos of Jehovah's Witnesses on how they early on did protests. So protests have been happening for thousands of years, and protests are actually a good thing, and this is how change happens in society. So it's done by protests, bringing awareness. So that's what's going to happen here, BeFree2023. So we're going to get right into this site. I'm going to give you the big display here, and this way you can see what's going on my screen a little better. So if you go to the BeFree site, BeFree2023, you'll see it says, it comes up like this. It shows the White House. It gives a date. It says join our protest on October 31st, 2023 at the White House. And this is at the White House lawn. This is what this is showing, right like this picture is showing, the White House lawn. So this protest starts at 10 a.m. and it goes to 3:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So plan to be there probably overnight, unless you live in the city, of course. You're a short drive away. But this can be turned into a nice little holiday, I think. Now, this is about raising awareness, taking action, demanding accountability. It's a licensed protest. It's not an insurrection. There's no climbing the fences. Not on this protest. This protest is a very good protest. It's amicable. People are friendly, and it's about protesting how the religions are allowing cover-ups. Now, the governments know this. The courts know this. So now is a really good time to protest. In the U.S., especially with all of the publicity with the Pennsylvania and the Montana, and all over the U.S., California, there's been all kinds of CSA cases getting uncovered. And the governments, and in the UK and Norway and Australia, New Zealand and Canada, all over, the governments are looking at this, the charities are looking at these religions that are harming children. So this is a big thing. So it's of the utmost importance to put an end to any policies and practices within religious institutions that result in harm to their members, particularly children. So we're going to hold these institutions accountable. So far they're hiding under clergy rights, but that is changing. And positive change is happening. You and I are a part of it. We're living in this time when I believe we're seeing Babylon the Great go down. And it's not like it's going to happen poof like that in one night. It's not like there's big war machines coming in and the earth is blowing up. It's nothing like Jehovah's Witnesses fictionalized. They fictionalized this Armageddon, this Babylon the Great going down. They made this look like an ugly thing, but it's not. It's actually like right now the birds are singing. There's a little bit of rain happening outside. The grass is green. No one even knows it's happening. But Babylon the Great is falling, and it's kind of silent for most of the world. But to those of us that are on the end, we know, and we know the scriptures. We know what Jehovah's Witnesses taught us. They taught us about Babylon the Great, and now we find out that they're part of it. So that's the big wake-up call for most of us. So join us in raising awareness about this vital protest by sharing it across your social media platforms. Let your friends, your family, and your followers know about the harmful actions of the Watchtower and the need to put a stop to their abusive behavior. And by sharing this message, you can help bring greater attention to this issue. And you can empower those who have suffered at the hands of this organization, ones like you and I that have. And together, we can stand up for justice, and we can hold the Watchtower accountable for their actions. So don't hesitate to share this message and write to others to join us on the day of the protest. So that's the message right from the BeFree site. And then they have a little video here. Let them be free. I'm going to turn my desktop audio on, and we're going to listen to this right now.
Every child deserves love, safety, and respect. Let's unite against child abuse and stand tall for our rights. Together we can create a world where everyone is treated equally regardless of their beliefs. Join us in this important protest and let your voice be heard. We matter, and we're here to protect one another. Together, we can make a difference. In order for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing.
So you heard the last part. In order for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. So let us not be those men that do nothing. Let us be the men and women that do something. Let's use our voices. Let's be there if we can. And stay tuned. We have a special video from the BeFree2023 training camp. This is a remote training camp, and it's designed to help you make sure that you're in condition to go to BeFree. So we'll look at that in a little bit here, but first of all, we're going to look over on the site. So about us, in case you don't know who BeFree is and who's behind BeFree, you may be surprised to find out who it is. And it says the organizer's journey to truth and liberation. The organizer is an activist, civil rights leader, and a dedicated humanitarian. They were raised in a religious organization that exercised strict control over its members. After a lifetime of indoctrination, brainwashing, propaganda, gaslighting, and psychological manipulation, the organizer came to the realization that what they were taught to believe as the truth was far from it. So the devastating impact of shunning. The organizer came to understand the damaging effects of the religious institution's shunning practices through personal experiences. The suicide of a close family friend who was disfellowshipped, and two attempted suicides by a close family member who also faced the same fate, made the organizer realize the devastating impact of these practices. Shunning not only causes immense emotional harm by separating individuals from their loved ones, but also restricts their freedom of religion. And isn't that what we're fighting for, is our basic human rights? So violation of rights, how? The shunning practice of religious institutions, which I really know Jehovah's Witnesses are the ones that do this, prevent members from freely exercising their religious beliefs. If a baptized member decides to hold different beliefs, they face the threat of losing their entire social network and family if they leave the institution. Upon leaving and practicing another faith, they are disfellowshipped and shunned by all members of the institution worldwide. This violates one's human rights and is a violation of the Constitution. No individual should be forced to make a choice between their family and their right to freedom of religion, and should not be punished for freely exercising their beliefs. So true. Now, the disturbing truth. The organizers' realization of the practices of the religious institution became even more concerning when they uncovered deliberate cover-up child sexual abuse by the leadership. For centuries, refer to the legal documents of 1986 Charles Taze Russell, and there's a link there, the leadership had failed to inform members, including the organizer, of known child sexual predators within the congregation. This intentional concealment of child sexual abuse not only puts members, including children, in danger, but also perpetuates a culture of abuse and neglect. So now, silencing the victim, threats, disfellowshipping, and the culture of abuse. Furthermore, the leadership silences victims of child abuse by using the threat of disfellowshipping and shunning to prevent them from reporting the abuse to the authorities or speaking out to other members of the congregation. They justify their actions by claiming that the doing so would bring disgrace to God's name. This practice has been documented in the Australian Royal Commission, case number 29 from 2015. Unmasking the hypocrisy, corrupt leadership, and the cruelty of shunning. The actions of the leadership in covering up and silencing victims of child abuse are unethical and corrupt. They perpetuate, harm, foster division, and dismiss the pain and suffering of the victims. The leadership's disregard for the well-being of the victims and survivors make the religious institution a cruel and unloving entity, despite its claim to be a loving faith. Shunning individuals and protecting pedophiles can in no way be considered a loving arrangement. Ending the cycle of harm. It is imperative that harmful policies and practices in any religious institution that cause harm to children and members be brought to an end. Raising awareness among the government and the public is crucial in order to hold these institutions accountable and bring about change. Laws must be established or amended to protect individuals within such organizations from harm. And that's what this is all about, friends. Let them be free. So if you have been a victim of shunning, of child abuse, of the list goes on, if you didn't take a blood transfusion, for those of you that are no longer with us, that's sad. They did not get to enjoy the life that they could have enjoyed because of this religion. Now, we're going to look at the resources of BeFree2023. And I found this page quite interesting. I think this is a new page, but there's a ton of resources. So we're going to look through some of them, perhaps not all of them. We have quite a bit of time. So the permit, we're going to look at the permit first. It's with the Metropolitan Police Department. So we looked at that before, and you can look on it online. It covers everything, the times, the date. So that's kind of important, a permit. So I think that's good. We need permits. This is not a protest that's done, that's organized without a permit. It's done. There will be police there. There will probably be public washrooms and things like that, porta potties or something, who knows. But the White House is not new to this. This happens every day. So videos, let's just take a look at the next one. So we're going to look at videos here, disclaimer. Now there's a ton of videos. This is Michelle Henry, and she's acting in all the Pennsylvania cases. So it looks like they have all that on here. That's great. And they have all of the Australian Commission on here. So for all of you that are JWs, Jehovah's Witnesses, we're all Jehovah's Witnesses. We got on this side of the fence a little earlier. But for some of you that are watching, Perhaps you haven't seen some of these things. Well, here on this site, it's all there for you. You can look at all the videos, and there's a ton of them. And if this won't help you to realize a few things, I don't know what will. But they did a great job on these videos, and they're still putting videos on. You know, even this last one, the abuse victim in Hawaii awarded $40 million. That was a big one. So they even have that one on there. So there we have a whole ton of videos for us. It's good for us as creators. If we need resources, we can go to these videos as a creator of a site. If you're looking, if you're out there and you're an ex-Jehovah's Witness and you're thinking, you know, maybe I'll be a creator. Well, here's all the resources for you. You can come on here and you could make movies for 2 years off the kind of resources on here. The next one is signage. We're going to look at signage. That's important. It says absolutely no use of profanity on the signage. This is a secular, non-religious protest. So also be sure to make your signs weatherproof in case of rain. You know, have we thought of maybe bringing an umbrella or some rain gear? I'm not sure. You know, if you have a backpack or something, throw it all in your backpack. The banner, the things, you might have to carry them. Maybe there's a crew of you. Maybe one guy's carrying the banner, the other guy's carrying the water jugs. You know, you got to think of all that. It says here, children have the right to do their own research. There is support if you want to leave. No one should be made to choose between his belief and his family's. These are some things you can put on your signs. That's what this is. So CSA is not a secret. Contact the police. You know, you can put that on your sign. Shunning equals bullying. Bullying is hate. Choose love, not hate or fear. You know, that's what I'd put on my sign. Disfellowshipping equals shunning. Do not hate whistleblowers. Don't hate whistleblowers. So, you know, whistleblowers are good. Watchtower, stop victim shaming. Prosecution, not persecution. I like that one. CSA is a crime. And let yourself be free. I was DF'd for reporting CA. Shunning causes family divisions. I was abused by a Watchtower leader. Watchtower, stop covering up CSA. Watchtower, stop your shunning practices. Shunning kills. Mandate clergy to report CSA. Shunning takes away religious freedoms. There's a whole list of them. The list goes on and on and on and on. Look at that. CSA equals sex trafficking. I agree. Shunning is inhumane. Silence is violence. That's a good one. Watchtower took my donation and hurt a child. That's true. That's what they're doing. They're charging $10.69 a month per publisher in the US. So you don't even have to be baptized. If I had a family and I had 5 children and maybe only one was baptized and the others weren't, but they're publishers, right? See, this is the Watchtower. They try to get everyone to be a publisher. And what a publisher really is an authorized minister. Is a minister of the Bible. They're not even baptized. And the Watchtower has these children out publishing. So every publisher has to pay $10.69 a month. And that'll be read this month in August in the US. And that works out to $13 million or something for Watchtower. So protect children. These are simple ones. Save the children. Love isn't abuse. And fear isn't love. So there's a lot of slogans here that the creator gave us to choose from. And the big thing is no use of profanity on the signage. Okay, we're going to go to the next topic. And we're going to go back to the Night Talk studio. And I got this on the little screen here. You can see it on the little screen there. So now we're going to look at articles. Now, I'm not going to read any, but I'm just going to show you this screen. This is the article screen. And there's all kinds of links. There's a secret database of child abuse link. And I'm just going to click on it and see where that goes. It goes to the Atlantic. Okay, we covered some of that. And that's wickedness and wicked. The Atlantic is covering a lot of this. So there's a lot of news agencies in the world that are covering the Jehovah's Witness child abuse. So these are all different links to lawsuits, the Pennsylvania grand jury investigation, Jehovah's Witness reportedly under investigation by the Pennsylvania grand jury, Missouri, Illinois, 31 other states exempt clergy from reporting abuse. So this is changing. This is what this protest is about, so that the clergy cannot hide abuse. And this is what we've been covering article after article, day after day. So Jehovah's Witness Church covered up child sex abuse, survivor says. There's a ton of articles here. I'm going down the list here, and it goes a long ways. The last one is shredding evidence of abuse. This is what's been happening. The organization put out videos, even to different branches. We covered some of this, and they instructed them to shred evidence. Isn't that something? So when an organization is telling its elders to shred evidence, wouldn't that tell you as an elder that it's time to get out? Maybe go get a lawyer and ask your lawyer, could I go to jail for this? Is this obstruction of justice? And your lawyer's going to say, yes, get out of that religion, but get the records. Let's build a case and let us sue Watchtower for you. So if you're an elder, get out, and you're going to have to sue the Watchtower. Now, we're going to go back to signage. We did articles. We're going to do documents. And under the document folder, we have financial documents. There's a 2016 IRS JW PDF. We'll just look at that one. Let's just look at that one document and see what comes up. And there's a lot of work into this site, like a lot of accumulation of stuff. So here's a tax document, exempt organization business income tax. And what does this show? This shows Watchtower Bible and Tract Society of New York, and it shows their $53,000. What is this from? Is this that Henrietta Fund or something? If you don't know about that, that's another one. So the Gerald Simon CPA Red Mills Rolled Wallkill. So there's all kinds of information on this site. First time I looked at this one. You can go through and study these things and see what they're all about. Here's a reply from the Watchtower about the stock in the RANCAM Corporation. Remember that one? They have stock. I don't know if you're a Jehovah's Witness out there, you might not know about this, but here's a letter right to the congregation. I'm going to put this in the big screen so you can see it. You see that there? This is a letter to the Christian congregation of the witnesses, Jehovah's Witnesses, and the elders would get this. And in this letter, it talks about this stock that the Watchtower has. And it says there's a portion of profits realized. It was a gift to the Watchtower for its worldwide work, and they kept it. And it's stock in war equipment, all kinds of stuff. And they pulled in, I think that's what that tax form was, they pulled in $54,000 from this stock. That's what it's all about. We covered some of that. It's quite interesting. Legal documents, court documents, Garrett Loesch testimony. They have everything on this book. The religious handbooks and letters, Shepherding the Flock Handbook is here. Letter to the Elders, April 9th, 2012. Local needs parts on child sex abuse. It's all on this site, folks. So make sure you visit the BeFree site. It's all there. Testimonials. We're going to look at that one. Testimonials. These are videos from all over, different ones that have made testimonials about sexual child abuse. So I've had people come on my site and say, why are you doing your work? Why are you doing this? Why are you going against the Watchtower? They've done nothing wrong. Well, if you're one of those people out there that see this video, go to this site and look at all of these people, all of these brothers and sisters that used to be your brothers and sisters. And they got abused and it got covered up, and they're telling their story. So BeFree has done a really good job helping the stories to get out, the testimonials. Now, here's an interesting one. What's the top 10 cults? I'm not going to tell you just yet. The first one is the Church of Jesus Christ. And I've seen this in other articles. The Watchtower is the second, and the Church of Scientology is the third. So the Mormons are huge. They're bigger than the JWs, and they got a lot of money, and they're a big cult. And then you got the Watchtower. They're big. They're in every land. And then you got Scientology, who's not so big, but it costs a lot of money to get into that group. Then you get down to the 12 tribes, which I know nothing about, the Holy Spirit Association for the Unification of World Christianity, the International Churches of Christ, the Family, Children of God, and Christ Identity Movement. Now, there's videos here on all these cults. And Jehovah's Witnesses are in these videos. They're part of the cult family. So, the Nation of Islam, the Black Muslims, another cult. So there's lots of cults, and we had a cover on cult. There's something like 3,500 cults in the U.S. alone. So cults are a big thing. Digital initiative. So if you want to get something out digitally, here's the map to where to go. Everything's here for you. And go to the spot angels for parking and hotel accommodations. Go through Google search. So they did everything for you. They have a map of the White House, where you have to meet, black and white. I don't know what that means. It's probably invites. These are digital invites. I'm sure there you go. So here's your digital invites. You can take that. You can share that on social media. That's what that's there for. Okay. Protest tips. We're going to look at that last. I'm going to look at because once we do protest tips, then we're going to go to the training facility and show you a video of some of the training out there. So informative books. Now, I thought this was a good section to go to. Everyone should go here to informative books. And some of the books out are Why Jehovah's Witnesses Have a High Mental Illness Level. Did you know that? There's a reason why we as Jehovah's Witnesses, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, have this cognitive dissonance is what they call it. And it's circular reasoning that screws up our brains. It's all these little records floating around in our synapses playing all these little programs that we have the truth, we are right, everything we do is right, the governing body is God. You see, we play those little records over and over again. They were put into our minds. And that's what programs us. And then we believe the whole wide world is wicked, and we don't go to the police because they're wicked. We go to the elders. We believe the elders over the police. And this is how elders think, growing up elders, adults. They're out there mingling in society, but they're Jehovah's Witnesses, and they believe that the whole wild world is wicked. So you believe the legal department. The legal department doesn't care about us. They'll throw us out so the bus can run over us. And that is what's happening to elders. Elders are taking the brunt. They've taken charity off the congregations so they can make charity something else. They have different shelf companies. And this way you can sue the congregation, sue the elders, and get nothing. Maybe get the elder's house. And this is how they shelved it up. But this is changing, and this is changing all over the world. Because all over the world, we are holding the institutions accountable. The Catholic Church, the Vatican, the Pope. We're holding these institutions that hold all the gold. We're holding them accountable for the damages. And that's what we're fighting for, and that's what this is all about. So yes, we have a high mental illness as Jehovah's Witnesses. Article by Jerry Bergman, summary. Combating Cult Mind Control. Crisis of Conscience. That could be by Ray Franz. Daring Greatly, The Four Agreements, Recover of Your Inner Child, and maybe it's you. Stop Self-Sabotage. You are a badass. Changing the Habit of Being Yourself, and Man's Search for Meaning paperback. And here's a book, it's a fictional book. There's not a lot of fictional JW, ex-JW books, but this one's fictional. And we're going to look at this one, because I know the guy that wrote this book. And this is To Heaven and Back in One Night. It's the Kindle edition. It's free if you have Kindle. And it's a story that this guy had. He went to heaven and back in one night. And he got up there to mid-heaven, and he's seen a lot of stuff. But it's fiction, and it's designed, it's a novel. It's a 300-page novel. It's designed to take you out of your seat. And it uses a lot of the JW lingo in it. So you'll like it. Everyone will like this book. And being that it's fictional, it helps exercise our mind and helps let our mind go a little bit. So So that's that. Now we're going to get out of the books and we're going to go over to emergency hotline. So the emergency hotline is here, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. So if you're having trouble as a ex-Jehovah's Witness or Jehovah's Witness and you have suicidal tendencies, don't be afraid to call this number. It's free. There's no cost. No one's going to work you over. Where's my mouse? There it is. Okay, so I'm going to get out of there, and then we go to must-watch movies. Must-watch movies. Movies that depict control, fear, and isolation. So these are must-watches. I just found this. I didn't know they had all this. I watched The Truman Show. That's interesting. We watched that years ago. Let me see if there's any I've watched here. The Coods, Madoff, No Limit. Well, I can tell you where I'm going to watch some movies here later. I didn't know they had all these movies. So thanks, BeFree, for these movies. And they depict control, fear, and isolation. So The Truman Show is interesting. It's like we're all in a bubble. And that's the way it is when you're in the watchtower. You're living in a bubble. Everyone's kind of watching you. It's the watchtower, remember? So they're all watching you. Everyone's watching you. And if you make the wrong move, you're reported to the elders. It's the watchtower. So these are must-watch movies. Excellent, excellent movies. I know I'll be going there tonight. Now, how do I know I'm in a cult? Here we go. How do I know I'm in a cult? There's, how many points is there? We might not cover all of this because we cover a lot of this stuff on some of our other shows, but I can see coming in here as a creator of shows and just using this. How do I know I'm in a cult? Make a thumbnail. You know, if you're out there, you're an XJW, you want an idea and you want to get online and exercise your YouTube stuff, just come here. How do I know I'm in a cult? Read it to everyone and give your own synopsis on it. I might do this. Where did my mouse go again? You ever run a double screen? There it is. So we have two screens. Your mouse goes over to this screen and it gets lost. So now, single point of authority. If criticism of the leader, even if it's true, is not allowed, it is likely you are in a cult. There's your telltale sign. Can you criticize the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses? You can't. If you criticize the governing body, I think you'll end up in an elders meeting. You know, they're like gods, these guys. They're like mini gods on earth because they're next to Jesus. They're the ones that communicate to Jesus for the great crowd. This is what we used to believe. Can you believe that? That we used to believe that? It's what we believed. Suppressed and skepticism. If you're limited to only obtaining information about the organization from approved sources, it's a sign that you may be in a cult. This sounds like Jeff Foxworthy. We could do that. How do I know I'm in a cult? If criticism of the leader, even if it's true, is not allowed, it's likely you're in a cult. Suppress skepticism. If you're limited to only obtaining information about the organization from approved sources, it's a sign you're in a cult. The group discredits or invalidates former members. If you struggle to find a valid reason for leaving your group, it's a sign you may be in the cult. Isn't that how Jeff Foxworthy did it? If the group insists that the end of the world is imminent, it may be a cult. If you feel the need to rely on the group to feel valued, loved, or adequate, it's a sign that you may be in the cult. If the group holds you to a unique ethical standard, particularly regarding sex, it may be a cult. If your group's response to serious inquiries is to repeat predetermined phrases or slogans, you may be in a cult. This is how brainwashing happens, guys. If your group is the solution for all the world's problems, you're probably in a cult. If your group is secretive about their finances and money management, it could be a warning sign of a cult. They're not transparent. Religions are supposed to be transparent. If you discover hidden practices or events after becoming a member, you may be in a cult. So cults often use secret rituals to strengthen a member's commitment to the group. Access to these rituals is often granted after the member has passed certain tests or made significant financial contributions. And these initiatives can be confusing, strange, or even offensive, causing mental dissonance and further entrenching the member in a cycle of shame and manipulation. So that's what happens. As you get into the organization, there's secrets. It's in the elder's handbook. And the common publisher can't have that because only the elders can have that. So we know it's a cult. So great job on the how do I know I'm in a cult? And we're going to go, how do I know I'm in a cult? Why protesting makes a difference. Now, why protesting makes a difference? Protests have proven to be an invaluable means of speaking truth to those in positions of power. And they have served as a driving force behind some of the most impactful social movements throughout history, uncovering instances of injustice and abuse, holding individuals accountable, and inspiring hope for a brighter future for many. So we're going to open this article up. 6 reasons why protest is so important for democracy. Now, people realize that they're not alone. So that's one way. So when you come out of the Jehovah's Witness religion, you find that I found, at least for me, that I was all alone. And a lot of us feel that way. We get out, we're all alone because you're isolated from everyone, all your old family and friends. You have to start over. So that's why these sites are so important. I think these XJW channels that everyone goes on to, it's so important for us all to develop or establish a new community, people that are similar to us, that have the same situations. So that's number one, people, so we don't feel alone, right? So these are why protests are important. You get out there, you're with all kinds of people that are in the same boat that you're in. And people, by protesting, we alter the agenda and we start a debate. So this is important. If the agenda is to keep covering it up and keep giving money as taxpayers, we're giving billions of dollars to churches. So for what reason? Many of these churches are not even helping the poor. They're not helping the needy. And within the Jehovah's Witness and the Catholics, they have made it so that their organization is protected and they're not even helping the victims of the abuse that they put onto these victims. Elders have abused kids. Priests have abused kids, and these kids grow up and they're just ruined. Their lives are ruined and they need therapy all their lives, and the church is not giving them a cent. So this is what we're fighting for. We're altering this agenda, and this is what these things are about. Number 3, in an electoral democracy, protest provides an essential voice for minority groups. And that's who we are as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. We're a very small minority group that have been violated, and our human rights are violated. Sometimes we win. If there are enough protesters, the policies of those in power may become unworkable. So it gives some examples. Now, number 5, sometimes we win in ways we had not intended or planned. So there's some really good wins that can happen. And sometimes we win, but it takes a generation or more. So what we see happening here with I call the fall of Babylon the Great, is this is happening right now. Dioceses in Pennsylvania have went bankrupt. And we've ran articles on that. It's happening right now. The Catholic dioceses are going broke. I don't know how much money these guys have, but again, the Catholic Church has made shelf companies, the same as the Jehovah's Witnesses. And this is going to change. This is the Vatican has to open up its purse. And I believe that the religions are going to go broke paying out CSA cases. That's what I believe is happening. One CSA case in California paid out $1.2 billion. $1.2 billion, and the jury just wanted to make a point. It was a Mormon case. We ran an article on that. So we wonder often about these, I'm not done here. Sorry. So I'm going to go back to the BeFree site, And so we looked at why protesting makes a difference. Now we're getting into protesting tips. And this is important. This is one of the most important parts of this program. If you're going to go to the BeFree protest in Washington, here's what it looks like. A lot of water there. Could rain. So we're going to read through this because it's very important. Tips before the protest. So number 1, create multiple signs for the protest. Having extra signs will be appreciated by others, protesters who may not have one. So you can help others out. And try to ensure that the signs have a unified message, which will help onlookers understand the purpose of the demonstration. Coordinate with organizers to see if there are specific phrases, themes, or statements that they want to be included on the signs. And we already looked at a list here on this site, and you can go to the site and check it out yourself. And if not, feel free to express yourself using foam board. Magnum Sharpies is a good option. But use whatever materials you have available. The most important thing is to make sure the letters on the sign are large, bold, and easy to read. And stay hydrated by drinking a lot of water in the days leading up to the event and during the day of the event. Adequate hydration will help maintain your vocal strength and your energy level. So water is the biggest key here. So number 3, prepare an exit strategy. If you're driving, park your car at least a few blocks away from the protest location. It's like going to an assembly. You can park your car. They have all these remote parking lots, and you can get lost finding your vehicle at an assembly. So it's important that you remember where your vehicle is. Maybe take a picture even of the parking lot and where your vehicle is and the signs with your phone. Now, if you're being picked up, arrange for a pickup location to also be a few blocks away from the protest location. So you have to allow a little bit of time. You can't get there at 10 and expect that you're just going to walk in and be there. You have to work your way. It's like going to a big assembly. So inform a friend who will not be attending the protest about your plans and schedule for the event. Agree on a specific time for you to check in with them afterwards. Provide them with an emergency contact number, such as a local civil rights lawyer or a family member who can assist in location in case of an emergency and you do not check in. So, let's say you didn't hydrate yourself enough and you fainted and you ended up in the back of an ambulance. That happens. If it's hot and you didn't have enough water or have a hat, you can faint. You're amongst all these people. And then at least they have on your arm or something, they know how to contact your family. So number 5, write an emergency contact number on your body. This is the number you should call in case you get arrested, even if you don't expect to be arrested. It's a good idea to have an emergency contact number written on you. Peaceful and lawful protesters have been arrested in the past. Write the number on your leg or arm with a permanent marker. The emergency contact number should be someone who knows your whereabouts and have instructions on how to contact a lawyer and make a public statement on your social media profiles. So that's important. Have them. We're going to be talking about this later in our training camp, but have emergency contact numbers on you, because you just never know what's going to happen. But this is a very friendly protest. Just so you know, don't let this scare you. But this has to be in here as some of the guidelines, because over the years there have been some bad protests. Look at this one that happened. I don't even want to mention it, but the insurrection one. Look what happened there, eh? So number 6, fully charge your cell phone and prepare for the impossibility of it not working. And make sure your phone's battery is fully charged or as closest to it possible before you leave. Cell service may be unreliable or unavailable during the demonstration, which can drain your battery quickly. And plan accordingly and be prepared to function without your phone if necessary. What if your phone gets broken or something, So be careful. So during the protest, attend the protest with a friend or make a friend at the event. Make sure you have contact information for each other's family and friends in case of injury, arrest, or loss of contact. And keep an eye on one another and look out for each other's safety. It's important to have a trusted companion to watch your back and vice versa. Now, number 8, bring an external phone battery if you have one. This will help ensure that you have enough power to stay connected during the protest, especially if you plan to film or stream the event using your mobile phone. And that's what I was wondering about. So if any of you guys are going to be there and you want a platform to stream this on, I'll open up my platform and allow you to stream it onto our channel. So if possible, bring cables for both Apple and Android devices so that you can assist others who may need to charge their phone. Now, wear comfortable shoes as you will likely be standing or walking for long periods of time. Prioritize comfort over fashion when choosing your footwear and clothing. And it's important to be comfortable during the protest. So your shoes are very, very important. Don't come in flip-flops. It's summertime, but beach clothing, it probably isn't going to cut it. A good pair of running shoes is what you really want. So bring and wear a mask to cover your face. I thought this was interesting. And this can be a bandana, a scarf, or any other similar item. This is to protect yourself from being identified by the police or opposition groups who may be filming the protest. Covering half of your face should be sufficient. And be careful when filming or streaming the protest to not capture the faces of fellow protesters. So that's important if you're taking pictures. You don't want the faces. You want to get away back or something. So if possible, you can also edit images or videos afterwards to blur faces. And this can be a contentious issue among activists, as some believe that filming and streaming can help amplify the message of the protest, while others believe it can help opposition groups identify the target of the protesters. So who is that? The Watchtower might be interested in knowing who's protesting, so they might be watching closely. So after the protest, seek help if you feel unsafe or unwell. Reach out to your community, fellow protesters, friends, families for support. Do not feel pressured to handle any difficult situation alone. And 13, follow up with the organizer or other protesters to discuss the next step. A protest is often just a step in a larger process, so it's important to check in and see if there is any immediate action that needs to be taken. Keep informed and involved in the cause. And number 14, share your experience with others to help amplify the message of the protest and inspire others to get involved. You can share your thoughts through blog posts, social media update, or by talking to friends and family. And the more people who hear about the protest and the issues is addressed, the more impact it can have. So now, I think I missed something here. It is on Halloween, and I'm going to pull this back and see where I missed that. Maybe it was right on the main page. These are resources. So, resources, okay, facts. Yeah. Why is the protest on Halloween Day or October 31st? Good question. Well, number 1, the protest coincides with the anniversary of the passing of the founder, Charles Taze Russell, and serves as a powerful symbol of the detrimental impact the Watchtower has had on its members. So I don't know if a lot of you knew that, but Russell passed away on Halloween Day, and he was on a train ride from his gold mine. That's the fact. You see, Russell and Rutherford had a private gold mine. So the organization's actions have caused immeasurable mental and physical suffering, resulting in tragic instances of suicide. And this reprehensible conduct must come to an end, particularly considering the psychological torture that shunning inflicts and its fatal consequences. So Halloween is a festive occasion typically observed in the evening, whereas the protest is scheduled during a weekday when government officials and potentially the president or first lady are in office. Holding the demonstration over a weekend would be impractical, as most individuals who commemorate Halloween would likely do so on the actual holiday weekend. Number 3, the daytime schedule of the protest presents a unique opportunity for PMOs and CSA victims, active JWs. So if you're an active Jehovah's Witness and a PMO, and you want to dissent against the Watchtower's hazardous regulations, and individuals from other high control groups, and attend while concealing their identities and safeguarding themselves. So you can put on a Halloween mask and come and join the protest. So what is expected? As this protest is aimed at bringing dignity to the victims of child sexual abuse, therefore the protest is going to be presented in a good order, good conduct, and good speech. And there shall be no compromises in this regard, no exceptions. Are costumes acceptable? Regarding costumes, there is a high expectation that everyone keeps them tasteful and appropriate for the solemn nature of this protest. The objective is to provide individuals with the opportunity to conceal their identities if they so choose. How can I help? Joining us in raising awareness about this vital protest by sharing it across all your social media platforms. So that's how we can all help. So share this on your Facebooks, on your Twitters, all your accounts, and let's get this out to the world. Let your friends and family and followers know about the harmful actions of the Watchtower and the need to put a stop to their abusive behavior. By sharing this message, you can help bring greater attention to this issue and empower those who have suffered at the hands of this organization. And together we can stand up for justice and hold the Watchtower accountable for their actions. So don't hesitate to share this message and invite others to join us on the day of this protest. Is this a religious protest? No. This is a secular, non-religious protest. And contact information is on the site here, so you can contact the BeFree people. And this is interesting. You can buy them a coffee. You know, if you can't make the protest, let's buy them a coffee. I thought this was nice. BeFree2023, you know, it'd be nice to have a coffee out there. And, you know, people are going to all expenses of driving there, staying overnight. If we can buy them a coffee. So you can support with $5. You can name or you put your account in there if you want. You don't have to. You can buy 1, 3, or 5 coffees, 10 coffees if you want. And here it shows someone bought 5 coffees. Linda J. Love bought 5 coffees. SM bought 3 coffees. Seymour. So there you go. I think that's great, folks. If we can get on and buy a few coffees for the BeFree, that would be super. So that's under contact. That's where you go on their site to buy a coffee. Now, you can also support by going to their merchandise site. And these are some cool items. You can order them in advance and get them before the BeFree. Now's the time to order this stuff, folks. So you got pullover hoodies, and you know, it gets cold out. You throw that, and you stuff that in your backpack. Just stuff it in there. And throw some sweatpants in there. You know, maybe it's hot. Maybe you're wearing some shorts, you know, and you want the sweatpants for later on. You stuff that all in your backpack. A cloth mask, that's cool. So then you can disguise yourself. So here you can get your color of different colors of cloth masks. And these sweatshirts are excellent. Nice deal on the sweatshirts. You're going to pay $32 anywhere you go. You go to Walmart, and to buy a good quality sweatshirt, you're going to pay that. Now, knitted caps, if it's cold out. We're in Canada. I love toques, so there's a knitted toque you can get as well. And T-shirts. Here's a selection of T-shirts. And again, you can buy me a coffee. Let them be free. Buy me a coffee. I think the buy me a coffee is excellent, and that's an excellent way of going. So there you go, folks. Let's see what we can do to help BeFree out. And let's support this great event that's coming up, BeFree 2023. So that's the end of the site, and that takes us to the middle of our program. I'm going to pull me back to, where am I here? To my Night Talks scene here. And we are going to get into a little bit of a commercial here. And the commercial is let me see, it's training. So we're going to take you to the training camp. So hang on. I'm going to shut my mic off and I'm going to put this on here. Folks, today we're going to talk about, well, we wear a hat, wear alternate clothing. I wear layers so I can pull a layer off, And also maybe bring some sweatpants. You know, it's going to be October 31st. We might need sweatpants or something in the evenings. It cools down, maybe even a jacket. But today it's hot out, and this is how I'm dressed. But important, the most important is some really good footwear. You know, some good running shoes. You're going to be on your feet all day, so make sure you have some good running shoes. And I don't know, I think that's about it. Okay guys, the number one importance is hydration. And oftentimes people go to these protests with a little bottle of water. And guess what? They've drunk the water. They used the water up on the way just for the walk, and they have nothing left. So make sure you bring enough water. Do we have some water? Bring a jug of water, full. Make sure you have a water boy on your team. Do we have another jug? No, even 2 jugs is good. Okay. Oh, let's just carry this one. Doesn't have a lid. Here's 2 jugs. Fill them up, 2 jugs of water. Then if you run into other XJWs that didn't bring enough water, guess what? You can share a bit. Okay. Hey guys, make sure you have an emergency contact number on you. And I like to put mine here because it's visible, you know. Normally if you drink enough water, you know, you don't need that. But stay hydrated. You always want to be watching where you're walking. You know, you never want to be accidentally tripping over some curb or something, because you're going to be out in public and there's going to be all these curbs and roadways, and you okay, you see, you got to be looking. There's an example of not watching. You got to be watching. You see, I got to redo this. You always got to be looking down, looking up, looking down, looking up, looking down, looking up, looking down, looking up. You got it? Looking down, looking up. Okay folks, it's important to get your good old heart in shape. So let's do some power walking. Okay, let's go back. Okay, so you want me to go up that one first, then that one, and that one? Okay, here we go. That one. Always treat the little one like the big one. Okay guys, the nice thing is at the end of the day you're hot, you're sweaty, and you brought lots of hydration, but now you've got a little bit left. You don't want to throw it in the car. So here's what you do, you just cool off. kind of majestic. that last scene there. I'm just wondering why I have a thing over my head here. Anyways, I'll put it down a bit there. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed that. I'm looking at the live, so I want to say hi. We have a celebrity in the house, Ryan at Cultastic. Well, hi Ryan, it's nice to see you. We really enjoy your show, and we're glad to have you on the show today. So if you guys don't know who Ryan is, subscribe to her. She does an excellent job as an XJW, and she used to be a ministerial servant. She was hard at it, so now she's hard at it, exposing the Watchtower in its many, many ways. And some of the really good work that I like that Ryan's doing is she's really looking at the feminine side of a lot of the goddess and goddesses from the Bible, and it's a very interesting subject. So we really love what you're doing, Ryan. Jay, thanks for being on, STR. And it sounds like you got some little chats going. Marmy, thanks for being with us. Flame of Jaw, Hopscraft. We have a good little crew on. And S Stock Pilot, don't know that one. Thanks for joining us today. And probably you guys know, every wife does. She knows more people than I do online. I spend a lot of time here in the studio, but she checks the chat lines out. So she's watching the chat line. And that's my good wife, Shauna. She's on there if you want to say hi. Now, we're going to carry on in the program. Where are we here? We're going to take a look at the next article that's up. And that's Jehovah's Witnesses that are protesting. Now, Quaker Witnesses Against War. So this is Jehovah's Witness protest. This is that's what it says here, Jehovah's Witness protest at the White House. So Jehovah's Witnesses themselves have protested at the White House because they didn't, about war, I guess. That was back in 1969. And they were called Quakers, or is it a separate group called Quakers? I researched that a bit, and it looks like there's another group called Quakers. But here on the article, they're calling them Jehovah's Witnesses. Protest at the White House. So perhaps you have some comments on that. And you might know a little bit more, but we're going to carry on. Here's another one. Witnesses wake up. Watchtower. This is another one. They have paper bags on their head right here in the protest. And it says 6 Jehovah's Witnesses who demonstrated outside the sex head office yesterday wore brown paper bags over their heads because they fear they'll be excommunicated. And this is back in 1981. So we were just looking for some protests. So here's another one. This is in 2018, just before the virus. Protesters at Jehovah's Witness Convention in Vancouver demand action against illegal alleged abuse. So again, this is protests going on in Vancouver. Now, we've seen Rick Farron. We've seen perhaps the Goat-like personality, and they're protesting. So now... This is one. Protest against Jehovah's Witness seminar in Central Israel turns violent. Now I'm gonna reopen this one because I lost the paywall on it. Now here's another one. Americans can take a knee during the national anthem thanks to Jehovah's Witnesses. So this is I don't know how you want to take this article, but that these football players, these black ones, didn't want to stand for the national anthem due to civil rights. They were protesting, and so they said, "Well, Jehovah's Witnesses do it. Why can't we?" You know, it's thanks to Jehovah's Witnesses, thanks to those buggers. It's kind of how the article. It's how I read it. Anyways, let's look at this other one I lost from Israel. Let me see if I can get it again. Protests. White House. See if it's that one. Yeah. A protest against Jehovah's Witnesses seminar in Central Israel turns violent. Hundreds show up to protest the event, which is being held after a district court overturned the municipality's decision to block it. So a demonstration against a Jehovah's Witness seminar being held in the municipal building turned violent on Saturday. Now this is article goes back. I don't know when this was actually, but I can't get into it. I don't know. We got into it. It was they didn't want this convention, this JW convention, and there was 1,000 people in Israel that just showed up and it went violent. So that's one of the protests we've seen. Now, what do Jehovah's Witnesses think about protests? We'll go right to JW.org. Right to their library is Protest the Answer. Now, they kind of hop back and forth a couple on this subject. Are Jehovah's Witnesses a Protestant religion? This is interesting. Are Jehovah's Witnesses a Protestant religion? And Jehovah's Witnesses do not consider themselves to be a Protestant religion. Why not? And they say Protestantism arose in the 16th century in Europe in an effort to reform the Roman Catholic Church. So I didn't realize that protest came from Protestant. And we learned this right here in the Jehovah's Witness stuff, if we can trust it. Yeah, we can trust a lot of their stuff, actually. So it rose there in the 16th century, protesting against the Catholic Church, the 99 Theses that were nailed up against the wall, and then the Protestant religion formed. Although Jehovah's Witnesses deny the universal authority of the Pope and wholeheartedly support the primacy of the Bible, they differ from Protestant religions in many significant ways. In fact, the Encyclopedia Religion refers to Jehovah's Witnesses as being distinctive. Ooh, distinctive in 3 ways. They cover up pedophiles. They're the same as all the other. Don't let these guys fool you on their sites, because they're exactly the same as the Catholic Church in covering up pedophilia. It's part of Babylon the Great. So first, although Protestant faiths reject certain features of Catholic worship, Reformation leaders retain certain Catholic dogmas. And the dogma of excommunication came from Catholic, the dogma of shunning Jehovah's Witnesses. In fact, it's worse. If you got excommunicated in the Catholic Church, you still get to visit with all your family, friends, and relatives. All you're stopped from doing is taking those little crackers, those wafers. That's it. Maybe a few other things. But it would be like if you were excommunicated or disfellowshipped in the Jehovah's Witness religion, and if it was to be lesser, well, maybe you wouldn't have the privilege of commenting. You could associate with everyone. You just can't comment. And who wants to comment anyways? It's a pain in the ass to comment and always prepare a comment. So that's how you can look at it, right? The Catholic religion is less stringent than the Jehovah's Witness. The excommunication is nothing. But yet in the Jehovah's Witnesses, it's a life sentence. It's the death penalty. It's solitary confinement. It's worse than how they treat inmates in a prison. They let inmates out every day. If they're put in the hole in the prison, they're let out to eat, usually every day, because it's mental torture. There's human rights, even in the prisons. But Jehovah's Witnesses have evaded human rights so far when it comes to shunning. So second, the religion that Jehovah's Witnesses advocate is not one of a negative protest, but one of positive instruction. And that's BS. And we're going to show you why that's BS. It's not positive. They claim it's positive, but it's not positive. And we're going to show you in a second. Now, third, unlike the Protestant movement, which has splintered into hundreds of denominations, Jehovah's Witnesses have maintained a united global brotherhood. Well, that's control. That's part of the cult control. If you have an organization that is controlling all of its people worldwide in a uniform manner, and they have to follow a strict guideline of rules, and that's how it is in the Jehovah's Witness religion, all over the world, they follow the kingdom ministry. The kingdom ministry is printed and it's strict. It's a guideline. And then they have all the talks, and the elders can't go off topic, or they could be disfellowshipped too. They lose their privileges. I was a ministerial servant. I went off topic in one of the talks I was making, and they wouldn't let me give talks no more because I used some Anthony Robbins stuff. I was dealing with a talk on faith. And I liked his illustrations better than the Watchtower, because Anthony Robbins says, it takes faith to drive down the highway. You have a car coming at you this way and you're going that way. Well, it takes faith, right? I thought it was a good illustration, but the elders didn't when they asked me where I got it from. Anyways, so we look at Jehovah's Witnesses, and they like to say that they're not a Protestant religion, a Protestant religion. Then we go here and we look at Jehovah's Witnesses in another article, and it says, "Is protest the answer?" Well, this article seems to say that it's okay. It says why there's a surge in protests, dissatisfaction with the social system. When people believe that the local government and economy serve their needs, there's little desire to protest. People work within the existing order to address their problems. And a trigger, often an event, moves people into action to change from resignation to a belief that they must do something. So it gives some examples of Mohammed Bouazizi's case, for example, set off a mass protest in Tunisia, wherever that is. India. Yeah, sorry about that. But anyways, they kind of give it a little bit of a positive thing. And here's what they're saying. They're saying, what have protests accomplished? Well, proponents of social unrest would claim that the protests have accomplished the following. They provided relief for the poor. You see, none of Jehovah's Witnesses protests provide relief for the poor. They don't help the afflicted. They don't help the needy or the widows or the orphans. None of them. All they want is freedom of rights to preach. That's mainly what they want. And we're going to talk about that in a bit. And it's really freedom of rights to protest. You see, Jehovah's Witnesses, when we're going to door, that's a protest. It's a form of a protest. We're going there with magazines that are very controversial, magazines that tell the homeowner that the Catholic Church is Babylon the Great. It's going to be destroyed. These magazines would tell the homeowner that they're in Satan's system and they're going to be destroyed in Armageddon. Is that not a protest? But yeah, they say it's a nice message. Join us because we have the paradise. We have the truth. You see, that's how Jehovah's Witnesses feel. They feel that. They believe that. But it's a protest going door to door when you're knocking the people at the door and telling them they're going to die. So then here's what it says. Jehovah's Witnesses in their article, they're saying protests have accomplished. They have addressed injustices. Ultimately, the 1955-1956 boycott of the city buses in Montgomery, Alabama. They use that as an example. And then they're saying that protests have stopped construction projects. And then they use the example in December of 2011, tens of thousands of people protested on the construction of a coal-fired power plant near Hong Kong because of concerns about pollution. So the project was canceled. So you see, protests do work. Jehovah's Witnesses are showing us on their site that protests work. But of course, protesters don't always get what they want, and we know that. Now, is there a better way? Well, Jehovah's Witnesses seem to figure there's a better way. And it goes on to say, many well-known people have felt that protesting oppressive system is a moral imperative. A moral imperative. For instance, the late blah, blah, blah spent years in the prison for his human rights. They go on and give all these examples. The bottom line is, in this article, Jehovah's Witnesses believe that God's kingdom is mankind's only true hope for a peaceful world. Thus, Jehovah's Witnesses do not engage in protests. But is the idea that a government by God could eliminate the reasons for protest unrealistic? It might seem to be, yet many have a developed confidence in God's rulership. Why not look into it yourself? So they're lying here. Jehovah's Witnesses protest. They protest every day when they go door to door. We have a petition on all of our videos. It's in the description. It's a Canadian petition. We're at 500 signatures now. We need 1,000. And so if you're Canadian and you can sign this petition, please help us out. And you don't have to be a Jehovah's Witness. So if you have friends, family, and you know people, send it out on social media. We need to get 500 more signatures. Now, the Jehovah's Witnesses have also done petitions. And I think this is the one. Let's look at this one here. I'm gonna get off the screen here.
Prisoners of war were being released. Rutherford and his associates were not. It appeared that their opponents had succeeded. The Bible students circulated a petition for the release of the 8 men.
We just need your signature right there.
And obtained 700,000 signatures. On March 12, 1919, Woodrow Wilson, President of the United States, conceded that the prison terms were excessive. On March 26th, all 8 men were released. The charges were later dropped.
But the Lord was preparing them for the future. It was going to be a battle with the political, religious, and commercial world, and Brother Rutherford was geared and trained for that after he got out.
Upon their release, the men were consumed with zeal. Within 6 months, headquarters was moved back to Brooklyn, and arrangements were made for a convention at Cedar Point, Ohio. It was here that they launched a companion magazine to the Watchtower called The Golden Age. Its purpose? To explain the meaning of.
Okay, that's all we're going to do on that. So all I really wanted off that video was to show you that the Watchtower does use petitions and signatures. So they go out and they get signatures. In this case, Rutherford was in jail. They got, 700,000 signatures. There was only 115,000 Jehovah's Witnesses. So they went out and they got signatures all over from everyone. They went door to door. Jehovah's Witnesses are good at going door to door and getting what they want. So that's what they did. So now we're going to look at protesting. Have they protested? Let's look at this.
Understanding gave fresh significance to the preaching work.
Understanding that there would be a great crowd from all sorts of nations and languages put a tremendous responsibility on the brothers. Instead of focusing just on gathering the remaining ones of the anointed, now all of a sudden there's this massive task of getting the message out to others who would then join us and help us with the preaching work.
Jehovah's Witnesses would continue to find new ways to let their light shine.
Looks to me like a protest
But
signs,
one
all
aspect of their
protesting.
message would not always be well received.
So back in the day, they protested. Like, look at those signs. Look at the work that they put into those signs, big signs. They're saying religion is a racket and a snare. Serve God and Christ. Is that not a protest? Like, be no part of the world. Like, they were very blunt. They'd go out and tell people that you're in Satan's system. And the JWs to this day, I don't know if they're that blunt today, but when I was in it in 2012, they were still blunt. And you go to the door. If you said Jehovah's Witness, you'd have a door slammed in your face. But it's a protest. If you're going to the door of the Watchtower and the Awake and it's telling the homeowner that they're going to die at Armageddon, that's a protest. You're protesting. To me, it's a protest. They call it education, preaching work. They just give it a different name. And they camouflage the word protest. So to me, this is the biggest Protestant religion, using their own words, Protestant religion that there is out there as a Jehovah's Witness, in my opinion. So that kind of brings an end to our program, folks. The big thing that we want to take home from this program is BeFree2023. And check the site out. If you can support them, if you can buy a cup of coffee for them, it's only $5. Help the Be Free out, and let's get this going, and let us together get a voice in front of the government. And this is a good time because now in Pennsylvania, Michelle Henry is going hard at it. All over the world, all of this news it's just all over every day about Jehovah's Witnesses. I thought I'd get a break a couple of days from having to do news, but every day there's a new news article. So we're going to keep pumping them out as long as they come out. we're going to pump out the news and let the world know what's going on behind the closed doors of the Jehovah's Witness Kingdom halls. So, folks, we're going to give you our outro. We're going to go back to the studio and take a look at what's going on. So before we do that, I'm going to take a look at the live stream and say bye to everyone. SDR, yes, it is on Halloween, and that's when Russell died. So that's kind of significant that way. And then some of the PMOs can put masks on and dress up a little bit. I think that's a cool idea. So Ryan is grabbing a group. Who's here on planning on going? I don't think Canadians can go to these protests. You have to be a U.S., I think, to protest in the U.S. I'm sure. Like, if I went down there, we've been asked, but if I went down there and I got put in jail and they say you're Canadian, on your passport, why did you come? If I went to the border and said, okay, where are you going? They always ask you at the border where you're going to go. And if I said I'm going to a protest, I don't know if they'd let me go because I'm Canadian. If I said I'm going to Disneyland, you can go. When are you going to be back? A week. And that's what they want to know at the border. So that's just something to keep in mind. But there's 1 million Jehovah's Witnesses in the U.S., so maybe we can get some of the PMOs putting some bags on their heads, dressing up, and helping with the protest. So again, we can help with the social media line. We have this platform. We can help broadcast and if you want to get involved that way, contact us well in advance. We'd have to look at how to stream that. I don't know if we do a real live stream, but you'd want to record it and then it could be streamed. So there's a lot of different ways of doing that. Okay, well, we're going to say goodbye to everyone tonight. So thanks for being online, all of you guys on the chats. We really appreciate it. And these chats are an excellent place to help us as XJWs to be part of a community. And that's what's important for people. People need to feel a part of something. And by doing this protest together, it's going to unite us all. It's great. I think it's a great thing to do. So thanks for being on, Flame of Jaw. We really enjoy some of your comments we see online, and we really appreciate that. So here we go.